new gambling laws aim to protect vulnerable Australians, but their effectiveness remains uncertain. Will the new ad restrictions truly curb gambling addiction? Let's head to Sydney now. We're joined by Darren Woolley from Trinity P3. What do you think of the new laws?
Well, first of all, Ahron, congratulations on TICKER's 7-year birthday this week. Well
Thank
done.
you.
But look, on the gambling, look, the government is trying to strike a deal that's going to try and make everyone happy. And the truth is, you can never make everyone happy. The big controversy is not around when the advertising should be. I mean, on one side, people want it totally banned, and on the other side, they don't want any ban at all. And then we've got the opt-in, opt-out, which has opened a whole can of worms.
Very much so. Do you think the laws will effectively protect vulnerable Australians, which was what the whole idea was in the first place?
Look, and that's the question, isn't it? When you do an opt-out system, it actually puts the onus on the people that are suffering with these addiction problems to actually make the choice. And then it depends how easy it is, because it seems that it's going to be that you're going to have to opt out into every channel that you're actually getting these advertising messages from. So Facebook, Instagram, emails, text messages, WhatsApp. You know, I mean, that puts quite an onus on the individuals, but they've gone that direction rather than having a database like they have for spam calls, which, in my opinion, doesn't work anyway.
No, that definitely doesn't work. I love to remind people when they call me around 6:30 p.m. that I'm on the list and they quickly hang up, right? But talk to us about what you see as the biggest flaw in the approach. Is the fact that it's opt-in, or is there something else?
Look, first of all, that is a big flaw. But the other thing is that this is very hard to regulate. You know, you either go a total ban, which is what was the recommendation from the report that was issued 3 years ago. When you go these compromises, you're compromising the effectiveness. And that is the fact that advertising in all its forms is almost ubiquitous. It's in every aspect of life. You know, what happens when a problem gambler drives past a hotel or venue that has pokies? Is that an advertising message? When they drive past an out-of-home site, is that an advertising message? You know, they're still going to have huge amounts of leakage here, and there is no way of actually stopping that unless there is legislation that bans it. Now, look, I'm not against, I'm against banning all advertising unless the product is so dangerous, as we saw with tobacco, that it causes death. I'm not saying gambling's not a problem. I'm just saying we need an effective solution rather than a half-hearted solution.
The hard part, though, is where do you draw the line? I mean, there's no bigger influence on a young person when it comes to making choices than parents and friends. And if parents or friends haven't opted in and they decide that they're still very much interested in gambling, kind of like smoking, it's not really just the ads, it's peer pressure, it's peer group, it's the fact that some people see it as cool. Is it possible for regulation to ever, I guess, get in the way of human reality?
Well, yes, is the answer, because we've seen smoking rates declining, and you're right, you know, parents, but it's about the social license. And one of the ways of overcoming a diminished social license is being endorsed by celebrities, by sports people and the like. And look, we're taking out of this the whole economic impact. You know, we're talking about effectiveness. Yes, it can be effective, and we've seen that time and time again. But it needs to be a holistic approach. It can't just be banning advertising. It needs to actually see an impact a whole lot of areas that support particular habits. It is an addiction, and so it needs to be treated as such. Banning advertising is the most visible. It's not the only part of the solution, though.
Talk to us about how the companies may try and circumvent these restrictions, because obviously they want to get the message out, and many of the advertising beneficiaries like TV companies and radio stations and newspapers, they all need that cash.
Yeah, and look, I don't think that's going to be the problem. And with, you know, the fact is television, radio, newspapers are all very public. And if they run ads, people will be on top of it and they'll be getting penalised under the legislation. What worries me is the digital world where you're delivering messages on a one-to-one basis. And how do you actually prove that? You and I won't see if one of our friends who's decided to opt out continues to get those messages, those advertising inducements. They will see them and they're going to have to report it. But they're already a problem gambler and they have an addiction. So are they going to be able to do it? This is the thing about this modern digital world, is that we can target individuals. We can target you by ID or by email address on your social media platforms and be able to continue to leak through virtually undetected.
All right, let's move on. A former WPP executive alleges illegal media buying practices risking WPP's reputation, $100 million in damages. Talk to us about the implications of Sony's findings on WPP.
This is an ongoing legal dispute. Richard Foster has taken action against WPP for wrongful termination and claiming $100 million in damages. Has now added to his court case with the fact that Sony investigated the WPP's non-return of rebates, media rebates, to the tune of $350 million. I have to say, they did apparently return $110 million worth of rebates, but kept $350 million for themselves. And this is, again, opening up this whole issue of trust and transparency within the media supply chain, particularly the digital media supply chain.
What are the major risks here for WPP in this case?
Well, they're already under the pump as far as they're trying to go through a massive transformation. The new CEO, Cindy Rose, did her H1 reports recently and has said, while things are turning slowly, it will take time. This doesn't help. It raises questions for advertisers around the behaviour of their agencies. And not just WPP, most of the holding companies and big agency networks are making revenue this way. We know that through either principal trading or rebates or whatever. And so, this is an issue for advertisers. They need to be aware of how the agencies are making money beyond the fees that the advertisers are paying them.
Talk to us about how it could actually impact WPP's relationships with clients, and are they too big to fail here? Is this just, I guess, for many of their clients, part of doing business in these modern media days, or not?
Look, it's going to make a lot of clients start to look at these relationships and do what Sony did, which is set up an investigation and actually do a forensic audit of WPP's accounts. That's not a great thing for an agency that's trying to transform itself to catch up to its competitors as far as the changing media landscape. It's going to distract them. There was a quote recently, Cindy Rose, the CEO, said that they've simplified the WPP media structure, but the CEO of WPP Media said in the same breath that they feel rather lost. It's not a good view for shareholders sitting there hoping for a return on their investment sometime soon. And so, there's a lot of question marks over it. As far as generally for the industry, this has been an issue that's been around for at least a decade. 2015-16 was where this issue really blew up. Not a lot's changed. It just changed the way that it's done and the way people think about it.
And do you think, the reshaping of the industry standards, do you think that is a work in progress at the moment? What do you think about WPP's dismissal claims?
WPP is trying desperately to get this thrown out. The longer it hangs around, the worse it is for them because it generates headlines, which they don't need. I'm surprised they haven't actually tried to settle it and gag the case with a settlement, because they should want it to go away. They clearly think either that they're not offering enough money or that they can win it, but I'm not sure they can. Even if they win the case, the longer this drags out, the more damage it does in the public domain.
Darren Woolley, always appreciate your insights here on Ticker, and thank you for the 7th birthday wishes. Thanks for being part of the journey.
It's a great achievement.